Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we talk water with the chairman of the Kansas House of Representatives Water Committee, Jim Minnix from Scott City. We'll also have features from Kansas Soybean Commission, Kansas Department of Agriculture, and Kansas Grain Sorghum, along with a weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news, a wide-ranging survey of Kansas ag producer perceptions of the importance of water has shown that farmers not only care about protecting the vital resource for their own operation, but also for the well-being of their communities. The survey indicates responses from more than 1,000 Kansas producers currently farming or living in the region of the Ogallala Aquifer that touches nearly every county in the western third of Kansas. The Kansas Geological Survey estimates that the High Plains Aquifer, which does include the Ogallala, supplies between 70 and 80% of the water used by Kansans each day. Now, some of the survey's key results available online through the K-State Research and Extension bookstore. K-State sociologist Matthew Sanderson led the research team. He said the survey sought to uncover how producers view their role when it comes to groundwater use and what they see as consequences for the groundwater depletion, whether they believe groundwater should be conserved. Now, the goal, he added, was to provide an understanding of the producers' attitudes and beliefs about the Ogallala Aquifer region. He said it was the first time a region-wide survey had been done since 1984. Well, adding low-cost ethanol to the nation's gas supply improves energy security and saves the average American household more than $750 annually. That according to a new survey by energy economists from Cal Berkeley. Now, the analysis concluded that adding ethanol to gasoline decreases the price paid by U.S. drivers at the pump. The research estimates the average discount per gallon to be 77 cents from 2019 through 2022, reaching a total savings of $95.1 billion annually to U.S. consumers. The authors of the study attribute much of the benefit to the renewable fuel standard. And the price of eggs projected to fall dramatically after reaching record high levels over the last several months. USDA say those prices should fall back to typical levels this year, provided the U.S. doesn't see a big rebound in the highly pathogenic avian influenza cases in 2023. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the price of eggs in January, $4.80 a dozen, 150% higher than January of just a year ago. USDA Chief Economist Seth Myers said wholesale egg prices will drop almost 27% this year. The agency says the high price of eggs driven by historic levels of the avian flu outbreak and that killed more than 58 million backyard and commercial chickens and turkeys since last February. The agency says that egg production will increase 4% this year to 9.4 billion dozen, and the number of egg-laying chickens will also rebound from 2022. Stay with us. We come back. We'll talk water in Kansas when we return.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com.
And our guest is State Representative Jim Minnix. He is from the Scott City area. He is chairman of the Water Committee in the Kansas House of Representatives. Jim, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you. Appreciate the invitation.
Okay, so the legislature just over the halfway mark, and the Water Committee was created to tackle a couple of water issues, and at least you got a couple bills out really trying to deal with the situation with the Ogallala.
eventually they will both deal with Ogallala. The first one, basically 2302, is some long-term funding for the state of Kansas to provide the structure and the infrastructure behind everything so we can deal with it in a better fashion in the future.
So the funding one was probably the one that I know even the previous committee worked a lot on it to gain a lot of information. And this has been an ongoing process. It wasn't just something that decided to come up, hey, we need to do this. It took a long time. So let's talk maybe a little bit more about this, about the funding mechanism. And of course, it's just in the House, needs to go over to the Senate now. But maybe trying to find a different approach to finding some money.
We're going to try to fund the state water plan. Currently is funded at $22 million total per year. $6 million from state general fund, $2 from EDIF, and $14 million from mainly agricultural fees. We're going to try to replace the state general fund and the EDIF funds with approximately $54.1 million in dedicated sales tax, and that's our current sales tax, not a new tax, but we want to dedicate it to the issue of water.
EDIF, the Economic Development Fund that comes through the lottery. So that's been kind of a sidearm since we've had the lottery for the last, 30-some years. And so that's one of those things that's always kind of come to. So, okay, so with this one bill, the other one really took a look at the groundwater management districts. And, the western part of the state probably said, now, wait a minute, because there were some legislators that don't represent western Kansas right in the middle of all this.
There were a lot of different sides to this, but we approached it as a group, and water issue in Kansas is not urban or rural or east or west. It's all of us involved, municipal and agriculture, everybody. And we think with the sales tax things we've come up with to fund the main thing, and the second bill, 2279, would also encourage the GMDs out west to do more planning to define some priority areas and to work on conservation plans for those specific areas.
So this is really more of a, I know we've heard some comments and say, well, this is just added paperwork, or this is just something that is more of a repeat, but really it's not only to hold accountable, but just as we move forward, that there's kind of a kind of transparency almost, if you will.
It's definitely a transparency issue, and it requires the GMDs to do an annual plan to the legislature. They currently have to give one to the chief engineer of the state of Kansas. This makes a closer connection to the legislature and their funding, and it'll open up some opportunities for us to directly fund some programs that the people at the grassroots level within those GMDs determine is the best thing for their local communities.
We're talking with Jim Minnix, a legislator from the Scott City area. He is the chairman of the Water Committee in the Kansas House of Representatives. Take a quick break. Come back with more in just a moment.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
And Jim Minnix, who is a legislator from Scott City, is joining us. He's the chair of the Water Committee. We're talking about water in the Kansas legislature, as many thought that might be the issue of the session. And really, Jim, it kind of has been so far. So now we're in kind of go on. Those first two bills have passed the House, go on to the Senate. And what else in the committee? I mean, maybe there's these bills. I think a lot of folks said this is all about agriculture, all about irrigators, but really you took a holistic approach to start all the water.
The major funding bill actually directs quite a little bit to small municipalities to begin with. And this is something that we're going to have to take to our counterparts over in the Senate. Since they haven't studied it over the last 2.5 years, we're going to have to tell them and show them what the situation is in Kansas, how we compare to other states, what's going on in our municipals. But all this has a federal tie-in. We're going to try to use part of our enhanced funds for small municipals to develop a water plan if they have to hire an engineer or a consulting firm. And once that plan's developed, then for their wastewater or drinking water systems, to possibly apply for some federal funds. So we're leveraging state funds to go after those federal dollars that are coming to Kansas underneath the bill program so that they can construct and improve their water systems, wastewater or drinking water.
Well, we know in Kansas, one of the states that has a lot of data, a lot of history of water. So do you think, in talking with other states, are we maybe a little bit further ahead? Because I know there's been a lot of naysay in some of the press accounts and putting the blame maybe on a certain group, but really with the data we can kind of, it's almost one of those, what kind of know where you've been to know where you're going.
Kansas has one of the best reporting systems, if we're talking about strictly the Ogallala system out there, about what well depths are and pumping rates and how much has been utilized. And they've combined all that data through a lot of years and come up with some modeling through the U.S. Geological Survey group based out of the Kansas University campus. And it's amazing how much more information we have than the states surrounding us. We can do a far better job of predicting what the future might be based upon the history that we have over the last 40 years. Many of the current states surrounding us don't have that information from the Ogallala Aquifer. And so we can tie that with some additional fundings and target things in specific areas to be far more targeted than a statewide approach might be.
Mm-hmm. Right, because we know things like in northwest Kansas, we've had some very innovative farmers, irrigators, that have done some things. In other areas of the state, the same thing, but also municipalities, things like the city of Hayes and others that realize that. So it looks like it's going to be interesting. Anything else on the horizon as you look even beyond this year and even to next legislative session?
We're bringing the people from the city of Hayes into our House Water Committee here in the next 2 weeks. We're talking about capping abandoned wells. We've got all kinds of presentations over the next couple of weeks. There are a couple bills coming over from the Senate that we will work, but in the short term, I'm concentrating on getting a lot of our information to the senators in the committee and also on the floor over there so we can get this passed and get started. We've kicked this can down the road more than 40 years and it's time to do something.
All right. Dr. I gave you a promotion, doctor, but Jim Minnix, who is the chair of the Water Committee in the Kansas House of Representatives, has been our guest. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up in just a moment.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The Young Farmers and Ranchers Discussion Meet challenges Young Farm Bureau members to analyze agricultural issues and consider solutions that best meet the needs of the industry. The competition is designed to stimulate a committee meeting where discussion and active participation are expected from each participant. Maggie Brakeville from Riley County will represent Kansas at the American Farm Bureau Federation Annual Convention in January. Maggie currently works as a staff attorney for the Kansas Department of Agriculture in the areas of large animal health, emergency management, open records, and food safety. She is a graduate of Louisiana Tech University and the University of Kansas School of Law. Maggie is involved with her county farm bureau, is active in her church community, and loves volunteering with youth livestock projects.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
The Kansas Farm Bureau Excellence in Agriculture Award Program recognizes young farmers and ranchers who actively contribute and grow through their involvement in Farm Bureau and agriculture. Erica Schlender from Harvey County will represent Kansas at the American Farm Bureau Federation Annual Convention in January. Erica was raised on a multi-generational family farm of 320 acres where her family grows wheat, soybeans, and corn. Erica is an agronomist in the Watershed program through her local extension office and part owner of her family's crop consulting company. Erica is heavily involved in her county farm bureau, where she previously served as the YF&R chair. She currently serves on KFB's Women's Leadership Committee and is a Leadership KFB graduate. Outside of the farm, she enjoys giving back to her community by volunteering with Girl Scouts and a local youth group.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
March is Agriculture Month. This is an opportunity to celebrate the work farmers put into producing quality crops year after year and share those stories with people across America. Agriculture is the largest economic driver in Kansas. The soybeans and other oilseed sector alone touted a direct impact of over $2 billion in recent years. In the 2021 growing season, Kansas soybeans ranked 10th in planted and harvested acres and 11th in production with just over 132 million bushels. Soybeans have various applications in our everyday lives, from the things we know, biodiesel, tofu, and animal feed, to the things further off the radar, renewable plastic, sustainable aviation fuel, and shoes. This year's theme, Growing a Climate for Tomorrow, is the perfect opportunity to exemplify the ways in which soy is creating environmentally friendly, renewable products in the world marketplace. The Agriculture Council of America organizes a National Ag Day, which celebrates its 50th year, March 21st. ACA is a nonprofit composed of leaders in the agriculture, food, and fiber community and works to increase awareness of agriculture's role in modern society. Head over to agday.org for details on the celebration. Be sure to keep an eye on your social media feeds for posts from Kansas Soybean and fellow commodity groups to learn about all the incredible things happening in Kansas agriculture.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
The second week of March is not only Flood Safety Awareness Week, but also Severe Weather Awareness Week. These events are reminders about the importance of preparing for and understanding flooding and other impacts of severe weather in Kansas. And they give us all an opportunity to encourage all citizens to better prepare your homes, businesses, and communities for the upcoming severe weather season. At the Kansas Department of Agriculture, our Division of Water Resources includes a floodplain management team, which focuses on the significant threat that flooding causes in Kansas. Floods are a concern throughout the state, and they can happen anytime, anywhere, and without warning. And this spring will bring seasonal rainfall, which can produce the potential for flooding. Before the severe weather season arrives, be familiar with the potential risks for flooding and other threats in your area, and prepare an emergency kit. When extreme weather hits, monitor your local radio or TV for information. During a storm, follow the key safety tips. Don't walk through flowing water, stay away from downed power lines, be aware that flash flooding can occur, and never drive into flooded areas. Our floodplain management team uses advanced digital data to map flood hazard areas as accurately as possible, and we update those floodplain maps periodically to keep pace with new technology and changing communities. We have many useful flood safety resources on our website at agriculture.ks.gov/floodplain. Another great resource for the agriculture community to prepare for severe weather is the website prep4agthreats.org. It includes great information on flood preparation, as well as thunderstorms, tornadoes, wildfires, and much more. Severe weather threatens people, homes, and property in every county throughout the state. Thanks for doing your part to prepare during Flood Safety Awareness Week and Severe Weather Awareness Week.
Sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddie Meyer, and I serve as Program Director for Kansas Grain Sorghum. Similar to other respective commodity organizations, Kansas Grain Sorghum serves as the voice of the Kansas sorghum farmer. One of our goals here at Kansas Grain Sorghum is to bring awareness of the sorghum crop to leaders in Topeka. Over the past several weeks, we've been able to travel to Topeka in order to put this tiny but mighty crop in the spotlight. Today, I'll be giving an overview of what these visits have looked like during the 2023 legislative session. Back in January, our commission chairman, Kevin Kniebel of White City, gave a testimony to the House and Senate Agricultural Committees covering wins that the industry has seen over the past year, as well as highlighting many of the sustainability traits that sorghum is known for, such as its water-sipping properties. This month, Kansas Sorghum also joined the Kansas Association of Conservation Districts, along with other similar organizations during the Conservation Day at the Capitol on February 7th. Here, we were able to visit with Kansas leaders and discuss different items surrounding agriculture and more specifically sorghum. Sarah Sexton Bowser, Managing Director of the Center of Sorghum Improvement, or CSIP, also presented to the House Ag Committee a few of the many successful research projects that have been conducted recently. Kansas Grain Sorghum Producers Association President Kent Winter of Andale also shared why sorghum was important to not only his operation, but Kansas agriculture as well. Kansas Grain Sorghum is grateful for the opportunities to be able to serve our farmers, and we look forward to our next visit on the Hill.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Not all health professionals receive robust training in nutrition, especially as it relates to single ingredient foods like beef. In an effort to help fill this gap, the Kansas Beef Council provides continuing education classes to highlight beef's unique nutrient profile and how it fits into a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle. Most recently, the Beef Council hosted a lean beef freezer meal prep class for 16 nurses, dietitians, and physical therapists in Lenexa. During this checkoff-funded seminar, Kansas Beef Council Director of Nutrition Abby Hadari educated attendees on beef nutrition and production research while showcasing the variety of lean beef cuts that can be used in freezer meal recipes. With February being American Heart Month, the class specifically focused on lean beef cut selection, preparation, and safe food storage techniques. Beef It's What's for Dinner recipes and patient resources certified by the American Heart Association were provided as well. Outreach efforts like this are part of the Kansas Beef Council's broader nutritional campaign that emphasizes the positive role beef plays in a heart-healthy diet.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Good day. I'm Derek Hermish with Pinion, a division of Keiko Isom. Volatile grain markets are the new normal, it seems. The good thing about true volatility is that it creates much more opportunity than flat markets. However, your opportunity to experience regret is much greater as well. For example, say you sell your soybeans on a 50-cent rally only to watch it go up another $1 the next week after you sell. Can you be happy about selling into the initial rally, or are you going to focus on what you missed out on? Regret should be the least of your concerns when it comes to marketing, but it can rear its ugly head in these environments and negatively affect decisions down the road. Selling your grain at profitable levels is the key. That's what you're always told, but it's never that simple. It is true that you will not go broke selling for a profit, but you're not in the business of making widgets for $1 and selling them for $2. Volatile markets provide opportunity, but they also provide opportunity cost. If you make a decision that nets you 50 cents less on average for your grain than your fellow neighboring farmers, nobody is going to offer you a discount on fertilizer or seed or equipment repairs to help you make up for it. Quite the opposite, as we've seen recently with inputs going higher. There are options, literally, that can be very useful in volatile markets. Yes, I am referring to puts and calls. I know there are many of you out there that are not fans of options. I talk to you quite frequently, and sometimes I agree with you. But in my experience, this is the environment to utilize them. If you'd like to visit with us about it, give us a call at 888-452-8751. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
That's our show this week. Be social with us at kansasagreport.net or our social media channels. We always appreciate when you make comments on the shows, what you like, what you want to maybe have as a guest, and so on. So keep that interaction coming. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Kansas Ag Report.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.